There are three important reasons why immigrants should open bank accounts in the US: stability, for immigration purposes, and also to make it easier to integrate into the country. In a lot of countries where people come from, the banks cannot be trusted, and it's normal to be afraid of the banks. My husband comes from a country where the bankers actually took almost all the people's money when he was growing up. They took people's life savings and fled the country, and those people lost all of the money they had saved for their lives. So a lot of immigrants come from countries where things like that have happened, and that is why there's a lot of fear and mistrust of the banks. But in the U.S., it's a different situation. The banks can be trusted in the U.S. more than anywhere else in the world. And there's a lot of advantages to having your money put in a bank instead of having it in cash at home. So first, let's talk about building stability. Having your money in a bank account in the U.S. can help you protect your money and keep it safe. And that helps you build stability in the country. If you have your money all in cash in your apartment or hidden somewhere in your car or in your closet or something, that money can all get robbed. It can all get stolen if something bad happens and you're robbed. Also, if there's someone who knows where that money is and takes advantage of you in a vulnerable position, that money can all be gone. That's a lot harder to happen if your money is in a bank, because only you can access it, or you at least have control over who can access it and who you give permission to access that account. So in the US, the reason why it's more stable to have your money in a bank account is because you can actually look for a bank that is something that's called FDIC insured. That stands for having Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation protection in the account. And most major banks in the US have this. It is something you want to double check and make sure before opening an account. But what it means if the account is FDIC insured is that if something terrible happens in the economy, like if there's another Great Depression or something like that, the federal government will insure your bank account up to $250,000 of money put into one account. What that means is if the bank doesn't have the money to give you back your money, and when you want to take it out because of some terrible economic crisis, the federal government will back that up, and they will give you your money that the bank is not able to. So that is something that is not the case in a lot of countries. And in other places, if the economy crashes and you want to take your money out of a bank, they may not be able to give you that. But that's not the case here, as long as it's something that's FDIC insured. Another reason that having your money in a bank account helps you build stability in the US is because it makes it easier not to spend the money. If your money is not in cash in front of you or in your apartment or home, and you have to go through the extra step of going to the bank to take it out or going to the ATM, that's going to make you think twice about spending it all. It's going to make you think twice before you take all your money to buy something that maybe you don't need. It's definitely more of a process to take out your money once it's in a bank account. So that can be a good barrier to help you, prevent you from, in a weak moment wanting to spend it all to buy something, for example. So having your money in a bank account in the U.S. builds that stability by keeping it in a safer place than as if it was cash at home, and also making it easier to not spend. The second reason that opening a bank account in the U.S. Is a good idea is because it can be helpful for immigration purposes for immigrants. So, for example, if you have a bank account, that is going to help you show the amount of time that you've been living in the U.S. So for some defenses in immigration court, for example, if you ever have to be in immigration court in the future, you would need to show that you've been living in the U.S. for certain dates. Or, for example, if there was immigration reform in the future, that usually in the past has been based on showing you've been here for a certain amount of time based on a certain date. So a bank account is a great way to have a record to show your dates, because you can show what day you opened it, showing you were living here at the time. You can also show records of all the times you had transactions on the bank account, like putting money in or taking money out. So a bank account is a really good way to have that record for your dates. And another reason it can be helpful for immigration purposes is because if you are undocumented, for example, your way of getting being able to open a bank account is going to be by getting something called an ITIN number, which we'll talk about a little later in the course. But the ITIN number is associated with paying taxes. So you will have to be paying taxes to the federal government to go through the process of being able to have an identification number to open a bank account. And paying those taxes is going to help you show, if you ever need to in immigration court or for immigration matter in the future, that you have been a responsible contributing member of society. So if you're ever playing for a green card in the future, or if there's, potentially immigration reform, having that record of all these times you've been paying taxes over the years is going to be really helpful to show that you're a good person and you deserve whatever you're applying for. So that's why, for immigration reasons, having a bank account can be really helpful. Again, to be able to show the amounts of time that you've been living in the country, and also to be able to show that you're paying taxes and things like that. The third reason that opening a bank account can be really helpful for immigrants is because it makes it easier to integrate into the country and participate in the financial system. So, for example, if you are able to get a job that you are paid a regular salary, a lot of employers allow for a direct deposit program. So that would mean that instead of getting a check or cash for your salary each period, it would be directly deposited into a bank account. So if you have a bank account, that's going to make it a lot easier to receive that money in a seamless way. And also, if you want to be making transfers through a bank account, for example, if you want to be sending money to family back in your home country, or paying bills, or if you want to invest at some point, having a bank account is going to make it a lot easier for all those things, because you're going to have one place where all your money is, or at least a good amount of money that you can make transfers for other purposes for. So to sum up, having a bank account is a really useful thing for immigrants because it allows you to build stability in the U.S. It can help you prepare for any immigration matters, and it can also make it easier to integrate into the country and participate in the financial system.